What if I told you that a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines just walked onto one of the biggest tennis stages in the world and didn't just compete? She demolished a seasoned veteran without breaking a sweat. In the world of professional tennis, there are players who show promise, and then there are players who rewrite the rules entirely. Magda Linette wasn't just any opponent. She was the tactical nightmare that young players have been crashing into for years. A wall built from experience, flat ground strokes, and cold veteran strategy. But at the 2026 Miami Open, Alexandra Eala didn't just crack that wall. She tore it down, brick by brick, point by point, until Linette had no answer left. And here's what nobody is talking about: it wasn't just the win. It was how she won. The future of women's tennis didn't arrive with a warning. It already walked through the door.
She is just someone that I'm obviously very impressed with.
She is a lefty, so if she can just get the serve wider, get a little Adrian Manarino going.
Get a little more bite on it.
She pulls it out because
really
she handles the pace
off.
well. If you crush the return, she absorbs that pace pretty
Her
well.
ability to absorb is...
So how did she actually do it? Because here's the thing about Linette: she doesn't just beat you, she suffocates you. Her game is built on grinding opponents down with deep, heavy ground strokes until you have no court left and no will to fight. In their two previous meetings, Linette had the upper hand both times. So what changed in Miami? From the very first serve, Eala played with something almost unsettling. A clinical ice-cold efficiency that veteran players spend a decade trying to develop. The turning point wasn't one magical shot, it was the moment the crowd realized Eala wasn't going to break. Every time Linette loaded up that heavy flat ball expecting Eala to retreat behind the baseline like every other young player does, Eala stayed in. She took the ball early. She used her left-handed forehand to slice angles that pulled Linette completely off the court. And that sliding serve out wide. It put Linette in positions she physically couldn't recover from. By the middle of the second set, something happened that almost never happens to veterans. Linette started searching for answers. A 20-year-old had turned a seasoned professional into the one who looked lost. So the real question is, where did this girl even come from? And the answer is going to genuinely surprise you.
You are headed back to the fourth round here in Miami, and to do it, you had to get through a fighter today in Magda Linette. You know how tough she can be. Other than this incredible crowd, what do you think got you over the finish line?
Oh, I think patience was a very key aspect of how I played today. You said it first, Magda is such a fighter, and every time I played against her, she's put me in such difficult positions. So kudos to her for playing well, and yeah, I really enjoyed
to watch you play. You are so seemingly fearless. You take the ball so early, you redirect so well. Has that always been your style of game, or has there been a coach along the way that said this is how you're going to play?
I want to think that being aggressive has always kind of been what I've aimed to do. Maybe it's only come out well like in the past year or so, but no, I think it's really part of my game. Of course, I have an amazing team who have really fine-tuned my game and really helped me take it to the next level now. But yeah, I think being aggressive is something that I like to do. Yeah.
Okay, last year at this time, you were ranked 140 in the world, and coming into the Miami Open this year, you're 29 in the world. What would you say is the biggest difference in you standing here today as both a person and a player?
I think I've matured a lot in the past year. I've been put in a lot of high pressure moments, a lot of big stages, which I am so grateful for and wouldn't trade for the world. But you know, being back in the fourth round, it makes me feel the same as I did last year. I'm so happy, I'm so excited, and you know, it's such a privilege to be back in Miami.
Well, it is so great to have you here. Let's hear it one more time. Alexandra Eala.
At 13 years old, Alexandra Eala made a decision that most adults wouldn't have the courage to make. She packed her bags, left the Philippines, and moved alone to Mallorca, Spain, not for a holiday, not for a tournament, but to join the Rafa Nadal Academy and train under the eyes of Tony and Rafa Nadal themselves. Think about that. 13 years old. Different country, different language, different world. And she went anyway. Because she didn't just go there to learn how to hit a tennis ball. She went there to learn something far more valuable, the Nadal DNA. That obsessive, never say die, grind until it's done mentality that has made Rafa one of the greatest athletes in human history. She absorbed it. She dominated the junior circuit and in 2022 claimed the US Open girls singles title. But winning juniors means nothing if you can't survive the transition to professional tennis, and that's where most highly touted prospects disappear forever. Not Eala. She spent years in the grind of the ITF circuit, building her body and her game until she was ready for something bigger. Then in 2025, she arrived at the Miami Open and pulled off what nobody expected. A fairy tale run all the way to the semifinals, becoming the first Filipina in history to reach that stage of a WTA 1000 event. The skeptics called it a fluke, lightning in a bottle, a one-time miracle. Her 2026 victory over Linette looked those skeptics dead in the eye, and said try again, because this win didn't just silence the doubters, it launched her to a career-high ranking of world number 29, making her the highest-ranked Filipino tennis player in the history of the sport. For a nation of 115 million people, Alexandra Eala is no longer just an athlete. She is a pioneer. She is carrying something heavier than a racket. She carries the hopes of an entire country that has never had a player this close to a Grand Slam title, and the tennis world is fully awake to what's happening. Analysts are already pointing at her as one of the most dangerous unseeded players in any draw on the tour, a left-handed puzzle that even the elite are struggling to solve. But is she actually the next superstar? When you compare her to players like Iga Swiatek or Coco Gauff, what stands out immediately is that Eala isn't trying to overpower anyone. She plays chess. On hard courts, clay, and grass alike, she's mixing drop shots, lobs, angle volleys, and sudden bursts of flat power in combinations that feel like something from a different era but loaded with modern pace. Her signature left-handed forehand isn't just her biggest weapon, it's a tactical tool. Like Nadal's banana shot, she can take a ball from a defensive position and redirect it into a cross-court winner that her opponent never saw coming. Kim Clijsters recently noted publicly that Eala's ability to use her opponent's own pace against them makes her incredibly difficult to blow off the court. That counterpunching skill is exactly what Rafa himself was seen coaching her on during their famous 2025 practice session, encouraging her to adjust the finish of her forehand, use more height and rotation when pushed deep, then flatten it out when she steps inside the baseline to end the point. The academy didn't just give her technique. It gave her mental architecture. In both her 2025 Miami run and her 2026 win over Linette, Eala's heart rate seemed to stay at baseline no matter what was happening on the scoreboard. She treats a 40 love point the same as a break point down. She's comfortable in 20-shot rallies. She trusts her conditioning, built in the brutal Mallorca heat, to outlast whoever is standing across the net. As she once said herself, she learned from Rafa that the work is the reward. Now, there are still real challenges ahead if she wants to win a Grand Slam. Her second serve is an area that top-tier returners are already starting to target and attack. At world number 29, she'll face tougher draws, tougher opponents, and much higher expectations. But here is the most important number in this entire story. She is 20 years old. She has done all of this at 20. Time is the one resource she has more of than almost everyone else on the tour. As the 2026 season moves toward the clay of Paris and the grass of Wimbledon, Alexandra Eala is no longer the underdog. She is the hunted. With her current ranking, she'll be seated at upcoming events, protected from the biggest names in early rounds, and set up for the kind of deep runs that could redefine her career trajectory entirely. The goal has completely shifted. It's no longer just to participate. It's to win. She has the academy pedigree. She has the nation's full support behind her. She has the big stage wins that prove this is real. Alexandra Eala is no longer a rising star from the Philippines. She is a powerhouse of the WTA, and the rest of the tour is going to have to figure out how to stop her. So, tell me, do you think she has what it takes to break into the top 10 by the end of 2026? Could we actually see a Filipina lifting a Grand Slam trophy? Drop your prediction in the comments right now. And if this story fired you up the way it fired us up, hit that like button and subscribe, because the next chapter of this story is coming fast and you don't want to